Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Mac. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links to everything discussed can be found in the description below, so let's get on with it. This week we hear about the future of Star Citizen's AI, we speak further about character customization, plus a sneak peek of a surface outpost on Crusader's moon, Selin. So if you were watching last week's Star Citizen Sunday, you will know, courtesy of the Noobifier, we were giving away 2 HCS voice packs which come with voice attack, and these allow you to control your ships using your voice. To stand a chance of winning, you had to obviously be a subscriber, plus comment letting me know what your favourite ship was. The first winner is Shaded, who said his favourite ship by far was the Carrack, even though it hasn't been released yet, winky smiley face. And the second winner is DeMarcus Bowles, whose favourite ship is the Mustang Beta, as it's fast, has a living quarters and great fuel range, plus it's inexpensive. Congratulations guys, if you would like to send me a private PM here on YouTube with your email address and your choice between the Alex, Eli or Verity voice packs, I'll have them sent right over. On another note, to thank my patrons who support me every month, I give away a $25 gift card. This month the winner is Evan Robertson. Congratulations sir, I shall be in touch and thank you all for your monthly pledges. They really help. So in this week's Star Citizen newsletter, which is the weekly email, kind of brief, not really much said, but they have said that they've made solid strides towards 2.6.1. Chris Roberts will be in the UK and the German offices for the next few weeks, overseeing and reviewing many of the exciting features. The subscriber vault has had an update with the Buccaneer Grey Box, and finally the sneak peek is of the Crusader moon Selin concept. It looks very cool. Apparently this moon has over 100 dormant volcanoes, so visitors must be careful. It does make you wonder how cool it's going to be when you get to land down on these moons and planets and just get out of your ship and start wandering, I guess. So around the verse this week was titled Engineering Intelligence, and there's a big section talking about the AI, but before we get on with that, they gave us a studio update tour of the UK. They are working on 2.6.1, using the feedback and fixing the bugs, and they're also going to incorporate a balancing pass too for ships and so forth. The Misk Razor, which is the new racer from Misk, is in white box stage. They showed some Caterpillar visual effects for the engine throttle, which they've been working on, and the Herald explosion effects. Plus we got to see the ship weapons all firing simultaneously for some reason. But then we got to see something interesting, which was a surface outpost. Now these are coming further online. Lots of gameplay opportunities, and they'll be ready for us to explore, I expect, with 3.0. They kind of look like little models at the moment because of the tilt shift effect they created with them. But it sounds like 3.0 we'll be able to find many of these populating the surface. Go around, have a look. Maybe they're populated by NPCs. Maybe they're abandoned. Maybe they're infested with some xenomorphs. Who knows? It will be exciting to explore them anyway. But the 2.6.1 production schedule is available on the website, so I'll put a link in the description there, so if you want to see anything that's going on with that. But after this, they had a long discussion about AI. Now, unfortunately, a lot of what was said is stuff we already know. If you've been following the game for a while, you'll know much of this. There wasn't anything shown footage-wise. It was all just Tony Zarevek and another chap talking about what they've been doing. Now, they will be handing the AI to the designers, who will then soon be able to start crafting actual missions in the game. It will look like the missions that they've set can be created much quicker, so there'll be more available. Plus, we'll face multiple problems. The content that they're using to create these missions is using algorithms, so you know, it's a way to fight against repetition. So they don't want the example of a mission to be always playing out the same. So, for example, you get a distress signal, you find a derelict spaceship, and then you need to rescue the pirate. In some circumstances, he may not be friendly, or it could be an ambush, or he may need medical attention. It may be varying ships, it may be in a different location. It's all the same mission, all built up the same, but with multiple variations, which can just be sort of reused. Very clever. Once this comes online, they'll be able to craft missions very quickly, a much larger amount of interesting things to do, which won't be so repetitive. They are very focused on the direction they're going in, and it sounds like they're doing well. But anyway, they briefly touched up on Subsuption. On the mission side of things, it will likely come first, as it's more straightforward. AI needs to look smooth, and the pathfinding needs to be correct. Once the mission system is ready, they said they may release it because it's not the whole of Subsuption, and the Subsuption will take a little longer than just the mission system itself. But the integrating the animation is where the main issues were when it came to the vertical slice for Squadron 42, which is why it got put off. They said it actually looks very impressive, but if it happens during what they're showing us, it just gives it a very primitive appearance. Now when it comes to 3.0 NPC AI, they say it's going to be pretty diverse. They're going to populate the landing zones and have people going about their business. You'll see bartenders, vandals, shopkeepers, muggers, criminals, pedestrians, patrons, businessmen. Also, they will have AI combat. They want to push this so that it's as advanced as possible. And these characters, you know, these NPCs need to understand their environments and use them to their advantage. But encountering an AI in 3.0 will feel considerably different compared to what it is now. For example, if you're transporting cargo and a pirate attacks you, he may disable your ship rather than try blowing you up, and then he may try to board you. And vice versa, you know, if you're a pirate and you attack a freighter and then try to board them, you will have a fight on board that ship. So they're not just going to be simple AI just wandering around. This opens a world of possibilities to make the verse seem just so much more alive, and it does sound very exciting, but it's not something that's new. Anyway, they had some community questions. First one was regarding multi-crew ships. With the AI, they will operate similar to how the military or the civilian sailing vessels would now. So you'll have a captain who will then tell the navigator where he wants to go. The engineer will be told which systems to prioritize. The medical officer will be told to go and deal with specific medical issues. When it comes to recruiting NPCs to do whatever jobs you and your friends don't want to do, so that's the way you'll do it with your friends. You'll fill up all the stations you want, and then you'll recruit some NPCs to fill those not so entertaining roles. But some multi-crew seats can be controlled by the AI, and you can purchase AI modules. So instead of actually hiring a crew member to do this, you can maybe buy an AI module and then stick that into a turret and then control its behavior rather than hiring an NPC to do it, which is kind of cool, but it won't work with other stations. Like, you can't have an AI module for a medical officer. It'll have to be an actual character, NPC or real player. But you'll also be able to customize your ship on how it reacts to things. I'm not sure, I didn't really delve into that, but it sounds like you can fine-tune ship systems to react differently to certain circumstances. So the next question was about what advantages and disadvantages would there be to running an AI crew versus an all-human crew. Now, when it comes to recruiting, they say the AI crew, this is where it'll sort of the details will matter. If you're willing to spend more, you will get a much higher skilled crew member than if you were wanting to pay pittance for them. Like, an effective turret gunner would require a much higher monthly salary. The same goes for players, though. Some will have skills in some areas and not in others. Tony Zurevec says that he sees you and your human crew manning the stations that you want and are good at, and then you can hire the other crew to fill the gaps, like we've said. NPCs will have characteristics which will demand their fields of skills, and you can see this in some form when you're looking to hire them. Sometimes it may, is it worth hiring 3 low-quality engineers to cover a bigger area, or is it better to hire 1 high-end engineer who can do a much better job? So next question is, what do you anticipate to be the largest ship capable of operating effectively with an AI crew? And he says that there's no real limitation. Larger ships will require larger crews, so their running costs will obviously be greater, but you can modulate the costs with the quality of the AI crew. If you're not bothered about if it's a low-end role or job that needs doing, paying someone, if your lives don't matter on it, paying someone a lot of money to do mop the floors is a bit pointless compared to just paying someone nothing, really. But anyway, they said that with the big ships like the Idris, the Javelin, you would need to ensure that the higher echelons of the crew, if they are AI, are to a good standard. So your chief medical officer or your chief engineer, if you've got a low quality one, they may buckle under the pressure. If you have a high quality one, they will be able to take control and do what's necessary. Next question is, what kind of relationships do you expect us to develop with AI NPCs? Will an NPC react differently to me based on prior actions? And if I ruin a relationship with an NPC, will there be ways to repair it afterwards? Now, they say that it's always the intention to form long-lasting relationships with any of the characters in the game. You will develop a reputation in a number of different fields, so maybe piracy or humanitarianism, for example, rescuing or healing people. So, for example, let's say if you are known as being a great transporter with a high success rate of doing cargo runs, this will play into what kind of missions and how high a premium you can demand for completing them, and people try and offer you jobs. A one-to-one relationship will also play a part, so if you did a mission for a particular person, they will react to you in a different way depending on how well that mission went. Also, the orgs that you are affiliated with, or if you are a member of, will also vary on how they respond to you, if they agree with those organisations or not, you see. So there's a lot of variation to it. He says that you need to keep doing a particular role well to maintain a high respect in that sort of field or community. So again, if you're a cargo hauler, if you suddenly decide you don't want to do any more cargo hauling jobs for a while, then your reputation will start to drop, and you'll lose that reputation as being a good cargo hauler unless you maintain it. So last question, what are you most looking forward to in terms of AI? And they say that the future AI is heading more towards algorithmic content, but they don't want it to be pure algorithm. So they're pursuing the ability to create handcrafted pieces which allow designers to link these pieces together to build what feels like sort of incredibly customized missions, but very rapidly. We won't notice that these are the same components of the mission because they will vary so differently. But if you really want to follow a guy around like an AI character, you will be able to follow him from system to system and watch them doing their thing and going about their day job. Now they did say that the long term, so sort of 12 to 24 month window, is to support the persistent dynamic NPCs. And what this means is keeping the same character for each NPC. So if you're attacked by a pirate, he will have a specific voice from encounter to encounter, and your history with him will be built up. And then they may use that as a way to input him back into the game again, so you can refer back to him with history with this pirate. And it's kind of building that up so these characters become personal to you, whether good or bad, which does sound very cool. But anyway, their final thoughts on this. They mentioned briefly about planet wildlife. Some wildlife will only react to you maybe because of your proximity to them and they'll run away, whereas the sort of larger wildlife, maybe pets as well, will be a little more intelligent, and you should be able to tell this to a certain degree. They didn't really specify how. But right now it's a great big world, but nothing is ready to populate it with. Once all the content is out, it will be just a case of refining it. 3.0 will start looking like a finished game, allowing you to lose yourself, he says, for hours at a time. Not because it's so big, but because there's enough content to keep playing it for hours. They will use spectator mode, they say, a lot to see, you know, once the game is sort of coming to fruition, to watch us play the game and adjust things accordingly to make it more fun on how we're playing it. Anyway, it was a lot of interesting information there, especially if you're new to Star Citizen and you haven't heard much about the AI. For the veterans, it may be a little dull having to sit through all that to listen to it all over again. But anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. AI is going to change the game a lot. I think it'll be interesting to see how it does affect gameplay and how it affects how we deal with certain characters. All good stuff. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let's move on. So on this week's Happy Hour, the community guest was Mr. Bristolboy88. Congratulations, sir. It was good to see you up there. And they had a little tour of Grimhex until the special guest, which is the character art director Josh Herman, showed up. Now, he oversees everything to do with characters from concept to complete. Currently doing lots of work for Squadron 42, as you can understand, wrapping up the costumes. They kind of want to push 3.0 as well, but they want things specific to Squadron 42 to get done, and then he doesn't want to leave the persistent universe out either, so they're sort of doing a little bit of both. They are finalising some 3D concepts for the Banu and the Zhaan. The Zhaan, they say, lives longer than any other race, sort of hundreds of years. I'm not sure how many hundreds, but these are the people that created the anti-grav tech. And much of what the Zhaan do is for the long game, not for the short game, because obviously humans may be thinking more about today, tomorrow, what they're going to do for the next week, whereas the Zhaan, living longer, will have a much further thought process. So the Banu, they're all about trading. They want to be, they want that to be a part of their aesthetic, as well as making them look well-travelled. Because of the trading, they obviously get around a lot, so they want to have that reflected in what they look like and what they wear, in their ship designs and so forth. The Tavaran are very avian, or sort of bird-like. They're not 100% final with this idea, they're just exploring it, but it does sound like quite interesting. I think they have beaks, from what I last heard. But anyway, for Josh Herman, they had some questions. The first one was, will we see less humanoid creatures? And he says, yes, at some point. The current aliens we know have to fit a certain paradigm. Obviously, the ships, we can all fly at them ourselves, so they need to be bipedal. There will be non-bipedal aliens that will come along. And he even said something, well, it's not exactly guaranteed, but he said a tentacle-flying spaghetti monster. Maybe we'll see one of those somewhere on some distant planet. We'll have to wait and see. But all aliens, he says, will be distinctively different. So one of the questions was, what is the timeline for creating a brand new character? And he said it depends on whether they're costumed or armoured. Armoured is more complex with the layering. It's like creating two characters, basically. You have to have an undersuit and the armour suit. But for your casual clothing or costumed characters, it takes 40 to 60 days. To make a new item of clothing, like a shirt, for example, from start to finish, can take about 4 days. So, next question. What is your favourite character so far? And he said it is the Sand Nomad. He said we will see more cloth moving around in other characters, and they're looking for things like zippers and, I suppose, toggles jingling around and animations for them as well. It would be cool if we can get them. Question after that is to do with character customization and whether, we saw a pilot with sunglasses, what accessories can we expect? And things like goggles, glasses, masks, they are looking into and doing these now. But when it comes to things like earrings, piercings, studs, they're a little harder because of the tech that they need to do it with. But armor, you'll have things like, you'll have gloves, your arms, chests, boots, shirts, jackets, all sorts of stuff. And also, if you're buying a jacket, it won't replace the t-shirt underneath like it does in GTA. So when you wear a hoodie over the top, sometimes it'll swap out the t-shirt that you originally chose and not layer it, whereas Star Citizen will have layers. They're also looking into wearing things like short-sleeved shirts over the top of long-sleeved clothing. Said it gets a bit complicated, but they are working on it. Next question is to do with character item space and whether the clothing will represent this, so pockets and where you can store things. And he says that certain costumes will and certain costumes won't. Some of them will have more pockets than others. But some clothing will be better at storing items. So, combat trousers will have more pockets. So technically they will have more space to store things. But also other clothing may be better at taking things like damage, like heat. I assume this will be for things like the engineer's overalls, obviously welding and so forth. They may, or even in the engineering department, it may get a little warm. So heat repellent clothing would be a good idea. They also asked about the Sand Nomad armor and is it something that we're going to be able to have access to? And he says absolutely. He said it likes it too much to keep it exclusive. So what we saw on the Sand Nomad, we'll be able to replicate ourselves. After that, they asked about the female character model and any information on it. And they are working on many female variants alongside the male character. They are hoping to release it as soon as possible, but they want to get a few of them done before they do. Following on from that question was, is clothing restricted to gender? And he says that he doesn't really know, but they are building things to accompany both. They want to have an equal playing field for both genders, so there will be an equal amount of variety for male and females, but obviously some things will be specific to that gender. Next question, how close is hair to being ready, and can we modulate it? Now they say they are using outsourcers, I think it was called air shipping, and they're doing a lot of the hair assets. They've got 30 styles worked on now, or they've got them ready, but they want to have a good selection before their release. And on the first drop, there will be no customization. There will be set styles that you can swap in and out until the tech is ready to be able to modulate your hair. Coming to an end, one of the final questions was about hoodies and will we have options to have the hood up or down. This was a great question from Bristol Boy, and he says it is a great idea. It's obviously easier to make it either up or down, one or the other, but animating it, he said he's not sure he'll look into it, but again, it's about priorities, and we may see it one day, but who knows when. Second to last question, what's the progress with facial hair? And he says we will have the option. They are focused on getting the Squadron 42 related facial hair first, and I'm sure that will help them when it comes to creating persistent universe hair. Final question is just tattoos. What's happening? And he says yes, he is a big fan of these and they want to have them. They've got to look into how to implement it, and also things like, can people create their own? Or will it just be more like GTA 5 style where you can have your chest, your arm, your leg, and swap in and out of pre-designs? Hopefully a bit of both, we will see. Anyway, some good questions and answers there. Good job, Bristol Boy. I think you nailed it. Anyway, let's move on. So also this week, we had a new showdown post titled The Economic Imbalance, which is a debate following the recent release of the Senate report on growing economic disparity. And finally, Lawmaker's Guide this week focused on the Helios system. Definitely worth watching. I just want to give a quick shout out to BritizensCon, which is a UK fan-organised Star Citizen event which will be happening in Manchester at the Radisson Blu Hotel on April the 22nd. If you are interested in heading down and meeting everyone, including myself, other backers and developers like Brian Chambers, follow the link below to their website. It's britizencon.uk to learn more. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.